Okay, let's dive right into this. What if I told you that the absolute secret to building a billion-dollar global empire wasn't cooked up in some sleek Silicon Valley boardroom, but actually in a dusty, completely ordinary bedroom in North Carolina? Seriously. Today, we're decoding the ultimate modern success story. We're tracking the incredible transformation of Jimmy Donaldson, just a regular middle-class kid, into the absolute global powerhouse we all know today as Mr. Beast. So here is the blueprint we're unpacking in today's explainer: the modern-day alchemist, the school of failure, the algorithm architect, the empire mindset, and finally, philanthropy as a brand. Let's kick things off with Section 1, the modern-day alchemist. From a bedroom to a billion-dollar empire. When most people look at Mr. Beast, you know what they see? They just see the surface, the absurd amounts of money, the massive explosions, and literally millions upon millions of views. But beneath all that surface-level noise, there's a deliberate, strategic genius at play. This isn't just blind luck, guys. The reality is that this is a premium masterclass in business strategy and psychological engineering, all built on a rock-solid foundation of relentless discipline. So whether you're a creator, an entrepreneur, or just someone trying to figure out how this modern digital economy actually works, consider this explainer your actionable path forward. Moving right along to Section 2, the school of failure, the invisible years. So let's look at his invisible phase, because these numbers completely shatter the whole myth of overnight success. Year 1, a mere 100 views. Year 3, a tiny bump up to 500. And by year 5, he was finally hitting 1,000 views. I mean, think about that. While his peers were out partying and living typical teenage lives, Jimmy was sitting in a dark room glued to a monitor, just aggressively grinding. He wasn't just throwing random clips onto the internet. He was essentially running a grueling 5-year longitudinal study on human attention. He obsessed over retention graphs, trying to figure out exactly why a viewer clicked, why they got bored and left, and what actually made them stick around. And out of that grind, he developed this incredibly profound philosophy. Your first 100 videos are just a tuition fee paid in the currency of failure. Wow, that completely reframes the entire concept of losing, doesn't it? He didn't look at those early days and think, I'm a failure. He just saw his lack of early success as the completely normal price of his education. Every single flop was just another crucial data point for him to learn from. All right, Section 3, the algorithm architect, decoding the code. And this brilliantly illustrates the major turning point in his whole career. Look, there's the typical approach, right? Treating the internet purely as a creative outlet and just making art for yourself. But then there's the Mr. Beast approach, recognizing that the platform is fundamentally driven by hard data and engineering your content specifically for the algorithm. He had this massive realization that to actually win the game, you have to stop making art just for yourself and start aggressively optimizing for the data points that drive the entire platform. So how exactly did he decode all this data? Well, he mastered 3 very specific pillars. Step 1, the click. He relentlessly optimized the thumbnail and the title just to get people in the door. Step 2, the retention. He ensured absolutely perfect pacing, literally 0 dead air, to keep viewers' attention completely locked in. And Step 3, the satisfaction, delivering a massive ending that actually pays off whatever crazy premise he promised at the start. He treats every single upload like a high-stakes investment. And the crazy part? If a video fails, he never points fingers at the algorithm. He completely blames his own execution. Just 1%. That is the magic number right there. This perfectly captures his concept of iterative improvement. Jimmy made a strict rule for himself. Take one small thing from the last video and make it just 1% better in the next one. Now, on its own, that sounds incredibly minor, right? But when you compound a 1% improvement over hundreds of videos across an entire decade, it builds massive, untouchable compound interest. It's like a snowball rolling down a mountain. That is exactly how he pulled so far away from the rest of the pack. Success isn't random, it's a math equation. Just let that sink in for a second. Success can literally be engineered from the ground up. If you understand the variables, you can solve the equation. Which brings us to Section 4, the empire mindset, the philosophy of reinvestment. Let's contrast the average paycheck mindset with the empire mindset. Think about it. When the average person starts making real money, what do? They think about upgrading their lifestyle, right? A nicer car, a bigger house. But when Jimmy gets a massive paycheck, he thinks about leverage. He aggressively avoided lifestyle creep. Instead, he took every single dollar and dumped it right back into production quality, hiring top-tier talent and building massive real-world infrastructure.
He made this unbelievable transition from just being a solo guy with a camera to acting as a true CEO. And here is the absolutely crucial takeaway. By constantly reinvesting, he didn't just build a channel, he built a self-sustaining media company. It's a machine that functions perfectly even when he isn't physically holding the camera. That infrastructure is exactly what allowed him to launch huge, real-world ventures like Feastables. And why did it work? Because he managed to capture the modern economy's single most valuable asset, attention. He bypassed traditional marketing entirely and built a zero-cost distribution channel that lets him reach hundreds of millions of people instantly without spending a single dime on ads.
And finally, Section 5, Philanthropy as a Brand, the Psychology of Giving. I want to pose a really direct challenge to you right now. Why does he give away millions and millions of dollars? Seriously, think about it for a moment. Is it just some loud stunt for views? Is it just a superficial ploy to trick people into clicking on his content?
Now, what's really interesting about this is that it reveals a total genius shift in brand positioning. By creating MrBeast Philanthropy, he fundamentally changed how the world perceives him. He literally dragged his brand out of the expendable entertainment bucket, that forgettable internet content we all scroll past, and planted it firmly into the essential bucket. He crafted this incredible narrative where his personal success actually matters to the real world. It represents a reality where the good guy actually wins. This is not just charity, guys. It is a strategic masterstroke that builds a completely bulletproof moat around his entire empire.
And that brings us to the emotional contract. It's this unspoken agreement where the audience watches because the creator represents a version of the world they actively want to live in. This goes way, way beyond the initial flash of the stunts or the giant piles of cash. This emotional contract bonds the audience to his mission on such a profound level. You aren't just a passive viewer anymore, you're a participant in a movement. You're actively cheering for him to win because you know that when he wins, the world genuinely gets a little bit better. Treat your life like a business and your goals like a project. The empire is built in the dark, where no one is watching. Look, ultimately, MrBeast is not some freak of nature. He's just the result of extreme, undeniable focus and a relentless refusal to settle for average. You don't need a head start. You just need to start, and you need to keep optimizing. So I'll leave you with this. What are you building in the dark today? Thank you so much for diving into this explainer with us. If this breakdown changed the way you look at success, strategy, and leverage, make sure to hit subscribe. We are just getting started.